In 2022, something unusual happened in American sports. It was not the Super Bowl. It was not the NBA Finals. It was not even a championship game. It was a baseball moment. One swing, one crack of the bat, one ball launched into the Texas night. And with it, a record that had stood for more than 60 years finally fell. For weeks, the entire country had been watching Aaron Judge. Every at-bat felt larger than an ordinary regular season moment. Fans checked their phones for updates. Networks cut into broadcast to show his plate appearances. Social media exploded whenever he sent a ball screaming toward the outfield seats. Even people who had not paid close attention to baseball in years suddenly wanted to know the same thing. Would Aaron Judge really do it? Would he hit number 62? Would he break one of the most famous records in baseball history? Then, on one unforgettable night in October, he did. This is the story of how Aaron Judge hit his 62nd home run past Roger Maris and created a baseball moment that felt big enough to stop the sports world in its tracks. To understand why this mattered so much, you have to go back to 1961. That year, Roger Maris of the New York Yankees hit 61 home runs in a single season. At the time, it became one of the biggest stories the sport had ever seen.
There it is. $5,000, somebody. He got his pitch. Look, $5,000. And here is the fellow with 61. You're seeing a lot today.
Babe Ruth's mark of 60 home runs had long been treated like one of baseball's most sacred numbers. For many fans, Ruth's record seemed almost untouchable. He was more than a superstar. He was an icon, a larger-than-life symbol of baseball itself.
It's high, a ball. Zachary gets ready. Well, Babe has done it. 60 home runs in one season. One of the greatest records in baseball.
So when Maris finally passed him, it should have been a moment of pure celebration. Instead, controversy followed him. Some critics argued that Maris should not truly be compared to Ruth because he played in a longer season. Ruth had set his record in 154 games, while Maris had more opportunities on the schedule. That debate unfairly cast a shadow over an incredible achievement. But time has a way of settling arguments. Eventually, the noise faded, and one number remained standing in the American League record book. 61, for decade after decade, it survived. Great hitters came and went. Sluggers thrilled crowds, carried franchises, and put together remarkable seasons. But nobody in the American League could push past Maris. That is what made the record feel so powerful. It was not just a number on a page. It felt permanent, like a relic from another age of baseball. Something that belonged to history and might never truly be threatened again. Then came Aaron Judge. By the time the 2022 season began, Judge was already one of baseball's biggest stars. He was known for tape-measure home runs, incredible strength, and a physical presence that made him impossible to ignore. At 6'7", he looked different from almost everyone else on the field. When he connected, the ball did not just leave the bat. It seemed to explode. Fans already knew his power was special. In 2017, as a rookie, Judge had crushed 52 home runs and announced himself as one of the most dangerous sluggers in the sport. He had the size, the spotlight, and the superstar aura. But even then, very few people could have predicted exactly what 2022 was about to become. From the beginning of the season, something felt different. The home runs just kept coming. In April and May, people noticed he looked locked in. By the middle of the season, the numbers were becoming impossible to ignore. 20 home runs, then 30, then 40, And with each new milestone, the conversation grew louder. This was no longer just a great year. It was turning into a historic one. By the summer, Judge's at-bats had become must-watch events. Baseball analysts debated how his season ranked among the greatest power displays ever. Sports talk shows tracked his pace constantly. Yankees fans followed every swing, but they were hardly alone. Fans from all over the country started paying attention. Even casual viewers, the kind who usually save their interest for October, began tuning in because history was getting close. That is what records do. They pull people in. They turn ordinary games into national events. They make every plate appearance feel meaningful. As Judge moved into the 50s, the pressure increased. Every game mattered. Every pitch mattered. Every swing mattered. Pitchers knew what was happening too. Some became extremely careful, pitching around him rather than risking their place in history. Others challenged him, determined to prove they could get him out under the brightest possible spotlight. Either way, Judge had to handle it all. The media attention, the expectation, the constant noise. The feeling that the baseball world was holding its breath every time he stepped into the box. And somehow, he kept delivering. That calm became one of the most impressive parts of the whole chase. Judge did not look rattled. He did not seem crushed by the weight of the moment. He just kept showing up, taking his swings, and carrying the pressure with remarkable composure. As September continued, the tension only grew. Every deep fly ball made fans rise from their seats. Every near miss became the lead clip on sports shows. Every series brought him closer to Roger Maris. Then he reached 61, tying the record. For Yankees fans especially, it felt emotional. Maris had worn the same pinstripes. His mark had lived in Yankees history for generations. Now another Yankee had matched it, but tying it was only part of the story. Everyone wanted number 62. That was the one that would move Judge past Maris. That was the swing that would put him alone at the top of the American League record book. Moment finally arrived on October 4th, 2022, when the Yankees played the Texas Rangers. Judge entered the game with 61 home runs. One more would make history. The atmosphere felt electric because everybody understood what was at stake. This was no longer just another regular season game. It was a chance to witness something timeless. When Judge stepped in for that historic at-bat, everything seemed to slow down. The stadium was loud, yet somehow it felt quiet too. Fans held their breath. Broadcasters lowered their voices. The pitcher knew this was no ordinary moment. Then the pitch came. Judge swung. The ball rocketed off the bat and climbed into the night sky. And in that instant, there was that unmistakable feeling that only the rarest sports moments create. Everyone knew. The crowd knew. The players knew. The commentators knew. This was it. Home run number 62. A new American League record. A new chapter in baseball history. The stadium erupted. Fans screamed and pointed toward the stands where the ball had landed. Cameras followed Judge as he rounded the bases. Replays rolled almost instantly. The swing, the contact, the flight, the reaction. Again and again, because this was not just another home run. It was history. Roger Maris's record had stood for 61 years. Now it belonged to Aaron Judge. That is why the moment felt bigger than baseball. Records are not only about numbers. They are about time, memory, and the way sports connect generations. Fans who remember Maris now had Judge. Parents could tell their kids they had watched history happen live. Kids watching that night could dream a little bigger. Aaron Judge's 62nd home run became more than a statistic. It became a symbol of greatness under pressure, a reminder of why sports still capture our imagination. A swing, a ball, a number. Sometimes that is all it takes to create a moment people remember forever.